Hello and welcome. I'm so excited because I'm going to share with you lots of valuable stuff that I think you will, find very, very interesting and very, very beneficial to your business. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at 5 ways to turn a price shopping prospect into a buying customer. Right, 5 ways to turn a price shopping prospect into a buying customer, because as business owners we want more of sales, right? I imagine a prospect coming to meet you, right, asking for prices, asking loads of questions, right, taking your time, and you're taking your time to provide answers to the questions with the hopes of, okay, at the end of this interview, or at the end of this you know questions and answering and all of that, at the end of this, it will ultimately lead to the sale. However, a few times you will get disappointments. Okay, most times actually you will get disappointments. Okay, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, that you've spent your time to provide clear cut answers to the loads of questions being asked by the prospect. Okay, so most times it gives you that feeling of disappointment, right? That at the end of answering these questions, only to realize that the client was only price shopping. The client was only trying to kind of find out, how much you cost. There was really no desire. There was really no, desire to get from you or to buy your service. Okay, so I picture this as you going through a website, right? You going through a website to maybe or purchase a product, or even going through a website to find out how much a product will cost. So most times, what's the buttons you frequently click are buttons like read more, learn more, see a catalog, and all of that stuff. Okay, because you have the intentions of not buying immediately, but kind of trying to get to know what exactly you need, kind of trying to get to know what exactly you want. But a few times you go through a website and you see this compelling offer, this amazing offer, this irresistible offer you can't neglect, you can't ignore, and you want to buy immediately, you want to buy instantly, right? So that's exactly the experience that I want to take you through. Okay, and the idea is for you to get loads and loads of prospects asking questions, trying to find out about your prices, trying to find out about your processes and systems. The concept is to get them to make the final purchase decision, right? The concept is to get them to make the final purchase decision, because hey, only then will you get money in your accounts to grow the business, right? You get no money by preferring answers to questions, although it's important, but ultimately the goal of preferring, or the goal of providing answers to questions, is to ultimately lead to the sales, and that's exactly what we want to talk about. So let's just go straight into it. So having a business comes with loads of responsibilities, right? And as a startup, it's quite daunting. It's quite humongous, right? Because you have to do so much. You have to, from the PR to the marketing to the execution to the technical experts. You have to do a whole lot as a small business owner. And it's even more stressful when you are a solopreneur doing all of this on your own. Okay, doing all of this by yourself, through yourself, and for yourself. So it's really, really stressful, right? So having a business comes with lots of responsibilities, because you're trying to keep the business afloat, you're trying to keep the business profitable, you're trying to keep the business afloat amidst the tumultuous state of the nation. So one thing you definitely don't want is a prospect taking all of your time, asking loads of questions, only for you to realize that he was only price shopping. I've spent few minutes trying to explain how that impacts on your emotions, how it impacts on your business also, because time is money in business. So you're trying to dispense time. You want to make sure that you're dispensing time for prospects that have the intention to buy, right? And you want to put in a few things that to ensure that they ultimately make the purchase. Now, am I saying asking questions are wrong? Of course not. Asking question is good because it leads you closer to making the right and informed decision. But ultimately, as a salesperson and as a business person, you want the client to make the final purchase decision, right? The final purchase, because only then will you get money in your account, like I said earlier, to grow the business, right? So let's move further. Now, is there a way to mitigate this? Is there a way to prevent this, or is there a way to ensure that is there a guaranteed way to ensure that for every prospect that comes to you with the intentions of, okay, let me just go check out how much this company cost or how much this business will charge me for such a product or such a service, you want to try to kind of ensure that every prospect that wants to do that ends up buying. Now, am I saying you want to manipulate the prospect? Of course not. I'm just trying to say you want to kind of find working strategies, working tactics to ensure that, you know, the prospect that comes to ask lots of questions ends up making the final purchase decision or ends up buying now, right? So is there a guaranteed way to make sure every prospect that wants to price shop ends up buying from you? Let's find out. Now, to do this effectively, you have to understand the five steps to closing any sale. Any sale, right? You have to understand the 5 steps to closing any sale. And let's start with the first one, which is prospecting. We have, you can see a funnel, and the most amazing thing about this funnel is at the top it's quite large, but as you go, you know, down and you try to whittle down your objectives, try to whittle down your processes, you find out that it becomes smaller, it becomes smaller, it becomes smaller until it meets a convergence. Okay, so we have prospecting at the top of the funnel, we have qualifying, approaching, presenting, and objecting or objections. Okay, so these are the 5 steps to closing any sale. Any sale, any sale, be it a product sale, be it a service sale, whatever you're selling. You usually get lots of successes when you follow these 5 simple steps. So let's go straight into it. Now we start with the prospecting. What's prospecting? You know, because we've been hearing loads and loads of words like prospecting, generate leads, lead generation. So what exactly is prospecting? I want to break it down to you so you understand it in bit sizes. So prospecting is simply the act of looking for or trying to generate leads, trying to generate qualified leads. When I mean leads, trying to generate qualified and potential customers or clients for your business, right? So but to do that, you have to establish if this person is indeed a prospect. And how do you do that? You do that through identifying the needs, right, that he or she wants to meet. Okay, because most times people are scared of sales people. People are scared of sales people because they think we as salespeople, we try to manipulate people into making a decision. No, we don't do that. What do? We simply try to identify the needs of potential customers or clients, right? And we try to meet that need. It means that if the client has no need for such a service or a product, there really isn't any point trying to sell to the clients. So apply that in the context of your business, right? If you want to ensure that at the end of the questions, at the end of the questioning, and providing clear answers, precise answers, concise answers to the questions, at the end of doing all of this, you want to kind of, you know, make sure that if that's your intention, to make sure that the prospect buys or the prospect turns into a buying customer, then you want to start with identifying the needs to ensure that it is a need you can meet in the first place. Because if it's not a need you can meet, there isn't a point trying to dispense your energy preferring answers or providing answers to the questions if it is not a service you can meet. Remember, as business people, we're trying to manage and optimize time. There is something called opportunity cost, right? You're trying to forgo something to achieve something, and midway in doing this, you're using time. So in business, time is of the essence. So we are trying to manage time, trying to dispense our time in the things that will bring in profits into the business, right? And the earlier we start to embrace this fact that whatever amount of time we dispense, in return it should bring in profits or some kind of asset or some kind of profit into the business, the earlier we realize this, the better for our businesses. Okay, so you want to establish if this person is indeed a prospect through identifying the needs that he or she wants met. Now, prospecting involves searching for new customers who have needs that your service can meet. Okay, so that's what prospecting is. Prospecting simply involves searching for new customers, and you have your ways of doing this. I mean, a few persons do this on Instagram, they find customers on Instagram. A few persons do it on LinkedIn. A few persons do it on Facebook, right? You have your unique ways of getting clients. If lots of business people get clients or get customers through referrals, okay? You satisfy a client or you satisfy a customer and he wants to kind of reciprocate, right? So he or she is generous enough to get you leads, get you prospects, get you potential customers, okay? So we have different and unique ways through which we get clients, through which we get new and potential clients, okay? But how do we qualify them? Do we just dispense our energy and our time to every client? Right? Do we just dispense energy and time to every client? So if we should do that, how effective will we be in business? Okay, so what's the goal here? The goal is to dispense energy and time on clients that have the potential, have substantial capacity and the potential in terms of having needs that we can meet, and most importantly having the substantial financial capacity to be qualified as potential customers. So after the prospecting, what next? Because at the level of prospecting you're getting so much leads, what next? Good. So qualifying, that's what next. Qualifying, because when you're done getting the prospect, you have to now qualify, and you qualify by setting business standards, business policies, okay? And one of such business standards is knowing your cost, of doing business, and knowing how much your products or services cost, okay? Because at the end of answering all questions that the client is trying to get clarity on, right? If the client doesn't have the substantial financial capacity to kind of afford the service or afford the product, there isn't the point trying to dispense energy, okay? So you want to kind of qualify at the end, after the prospecting stage. You want to kind of qualify, right? Dispensing all your time and effort selling to every prospect is a sure recipe for burnout. Burnout is real. It's real, okay? So, and if you want to go through that experience, the fastest way to get to that experience is to dispense all of your time and effort selling to every prospect. I mean, selling to every person, right? So you don't want that. I mean, energy is of the essence in business. You don't want that, right? So qualifying is the act of trying to whittle down your prospect list. You have a humongous prospect list, okay? So what's the goal here? The goal is to try to whittle down the prospect list to the people that meet a defined set of criteria. It could be things like, I mean, you setting your standards or you setting a criteria, things like, okay, to start with, does this client have a problem I can solve as a business person? Okay, let's say the client has a problem you can solve. Good. Now, does the client share the same values as my company? Because if my company values excellence, my company values innovation over efficiency, and this client is someone that doesn't really value quality, they are just after quantity, they are just after getting the job done quickly, and they are just after getting the cheapest offer possible, right? So you see, there is a conflict of interest, there's a conflict of belief systems, there's a conflict of interest, right? And that is like a smoke screen indicating that this is not the client for you, right? So you pass your clients through a set of criteria, and at the end of doing this, most, I won't really say most importantly, but as part of the criteria you will set is, okay, after the client has gone through this amazing, it has to be an amazing experience, you want to now find that, okay, does the client have the budget for the product? If this product is going to cost $1,000, does the client have $1,000 to spend on this product? Right? So as much as you want to, as much as you provide answers to the questions, if the client doesn't have $1,000 to spend on a product that is worth $1,000, there isn't going to be a sale, there isn't going to be a purchase. It's as simple as that. There isn't going to be a purchase, right? So what are we trying to do in essence? We're trying to save time, optimize time, and get the most results. And one way to do that is to come to that realization that you can dispense all of your time trying to sell to every prospect. So after prospecting, we get to qualifying, and we get to approaching. Now the approach is key. Okay, people always want to do business with people they like and trust. That's the truth. People always want to do business with people they like and they trust. So like and trust is key. So how do you bridge that gap? One, simple: build a rapport. Good. Build a rapport. Establishing credibility early on in the process will bring you multiple steps closer to winning the customer. Right? Now, if it's a referral, if it's a customer that came from a referral, it's easy, because then people like to close business deals based on referrals. Okay, so if I have a friend that has bought a service, right, and I ask the friend, okay, how do you like the service? And kind of he says, okay, I love this service. Instantly it gives me a sense of security, right? It gives me a sense of security when I'm having a conversation with a service vendor, because I already have a friend that has benefited from such a service, right? And it gives me a sense of security. So people like to do business with people they like and trust. So you want to build rapport. If it's a prospect that came from a referral, you can easily build upon that credibility that the referral has already helped you establish. Okay, you can build upon that credibility. But if it's a cold call, someone you've not met before, it's your first time meeting the person, as in you guys didn't know anywhere from Adam, this is your first time having a business conversation, you want to start by building rapport, right? And a good way to start is by shaking hands. Okay, complimenting the business, complimenting the person, doing things, simple things that might not seem so much. Okay, but all of these things are loads of business tips that your competitors most likely are ignoring, right? So your competitors might not be watching this, you are watching this. The chances that your competitors are not watching this, right? So you have a shot at doing some things that your competitors are not doing, that will put you on the edge, put you on a vantage point to close deals faster. Good. So establishing credibility early on in the process will bring you multiple steps closer to winning the customer. Okay, so you want to build rapport. You want to start with trying to make the customer feel at ease. It's simple. Yeah, you want to start with making the customer feel at ease. Okay, because people have this bias, people have this this kind of a safety net they are trying to build, they're trying to weave emotionally and psychologically. Okay, so people have that bias. Okay, they have that because they've gone through several experiences, right? So you have to acknowledge that, subconsciously, and you have to work towards making them feel at ease. You have to work towards making them think and understand that your business is not just the cheapest option, and I don't want for your business or your service or your product to be the cheapest out there, except it's a commodity. But you want to make them understand that you are the less risky option, as in there is absolutely no risk doing business with you. As much as you're good at your job, as much as you're good at your service or product, you want to give them that sense of security, that sense of, okay, so I'm asking lots, the prospect is asking lots of questions and you're providing answers to these questions. Okay, the essence of doing that is to give them that security to understand that you are an expert. As a matter of fact, you are an authority in the field.